Good morning, everyone. I mean, not good morning for me. I'm recording this at midnight, and I have to be up in 4 hours for a job. But that is not what's important. What's important is I wanted to still make sure that I could get out this Devo to all of you because I was tasked with a very important one that talks about Transfiguration, Matthew 17, 1 through 13. And I really wanted to talk about it because, one, it was an important one assigned to me, but also I found something super amazing within it. So to start off, let me read off Matthew 17, 1 through 13, saying, "After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, 'Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.' While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, 'This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him.' When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. 'Get up,' he said. 'Don't be afraid.' When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus instructed them, 'Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead.' The disciples asked him, 'Why then do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first?' Jesus replied, 'To be sure, Elijah comes and will restore all things. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but have done to him everything they wished. In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands.' Then the disciples understood that he was talking to them about John the Baptist." So this is super cool because Jesus is simultaneously teaching a lesson and answering it at the same time, because the Transfiguration is about like how we are supposed to go out and do things, right? It's also a preparation of Jesus's death, and so the amazing thing that Jesus is doing here is he's saying, hey, you might not understand, but that is not important for you to continue on the plan. Because they asked a question about Elijah, right? They said, wait, like, there was this prophecy of Elijah. Isn't that supposed to happen? How are we supposed to, like, do what we are to do if it has not happened? And Jesus is like, be sure it has. Be sure the plan is happening. It's already in motion. You just need to keep doing your part. And I think that's really beautiful because I think we get caught up so easily on understanding rather than executing, right? I think a lot of times everyone wants to be the ideas guy, trying to hash out everything and understand the plans perfectly, but sometimes we just got to do our job. And that's what I think is so important here is it's not only saying that, but it's kind of in a way saying, like, if you do that, if you continue and do your job at the time it's supposed to be done, you will understand, right? Because think about this. You as like a teenager are with the Messiah and you don't fully believe he's the Messiah, and you now see before him 2 of the most important figures of Christianity before your very eyes, alive, when they were dead for God knows how many years before this moment. And God himself from the sky tells you that this is his son and that you need to believe in him. And then all of them vanish, and you, with your mind all in a boggle, are told, don't tell anyone. Like, you cannot become less confused than they were probably in that moment. But they were tasked with something very important, to tell the story, but to not tell it then. Because you have to understand, God is not withholding information because he just wants to, because it's funny. He's withholding it because sometimes we need to see more of it unfold before we understand what has happened previously. Right? We can look at a part of a picture frame or a puzzle piece, and we can know it goes in the puzzle, but if we see the whole puzzle, it doesn't mean we know where that piece goes, right? Like we could spend hours trying to look through that entire puzzle, trying to figure out where that piece goes, when in reality, we could just focus on putting the pieces with each other rather than trying to put it with the whole puzzle. And I think that's just a very important thing that we need to remember in this. Whether we know the full picture now, in the future, or not at all, it may be because we are not yet ready to understand God's plans in action until it is finished. We don't need to understand in order to do our part. That is all I have. Thank you all so much, and have a good day.